Hey, 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 my lovely soul family. I just want to start off with saying thank you, thank you, thank you for choosing to be here, for embracing my energy as I embrace yours, and taking the time to take this moment and just kind of vibe with me for this beautiful YouTube video that I will be sharing today with you. And I also want to ask that if you are interested in my content, you enjoy my content, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, follow me on all of my social media platforms. I'll list them all right there. And yeah, so let's get started. So today I want to touch on a topic that I find almost like, I don't know, I find it so intriguing. I find it so powerful. And I find it so just like mysterious almost of a matter of form. And what that is toxic positivity in the spiritual community. So, as we all know, if you're probably watching this, most likely you're involved in the spiritual community to some extent, whether it be a community within yourself, whether it be whatever it may be, personal beliefs, personal concepts, personal views, etc. Now, the thing is about the spiritual community, it is a beautiful place to experience yourself, to fully embrace all of these different elements and aspects of yourself. But there's one discrepancy that I keep finding, and I find this on all sources like of social media, such as TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, etc. All of these different platforms that talk about spirituality as if we're always supposed to be in a positive mindset. I'm not sure if you've heard that concept of like every time that you think of something negative, react it or counteract it, excuse me, with the positive. Well, that's something that a lot of people in the spiritual community are doing. And I love I absolutely love the idea of this positivity and seeing a brighter side and knowing that everything that comes at you always has a higher purpose. Because ultimately, is that the truth? Absolutely. But is it something for us to experience and maybe feel the emotions of and actually set with instead of just trying to always see that light at the end of the tunnel? Absolutely. So when it comes to these things, I feel like it's so important, absolutely crucial even, that we embrace the elements of the energy of all of the phases in which we encounter. Now, in doing this, we gain the ability to see ourselves in all of our different elements, in all of our different shades, and all of our different hues, and able to bring in the energy of filling the depths of the darkness in which we come out of to be able to see that light at said end of the tunnel. And I don't even want to put the concept up of it being a light at the end of the tunnel, because actually, when it really comes down to it, the only light that we're ever going to truly find is the light that we hold within ourselves. The light that we hold in value of ourselves as ourselves by being ourselves. So many people preach on consciousness, being conscious, living consciously, being aware, being present within your reality. Now, all of these things go hand in hand, but oftentimes you'll find that in the spiritual community, the things that are preached are actually taking one element out of that, like the positive outlook, or either the shadow work or something like that, but they don't really base the whole spectrum of things together to show that you need each part, each component is a step and a major factor in order to be able to reach the objective. And the objective is never anything outside of yourself. What the objective is finding yourself from within, being okay with yourself from within, because anything that you can be okay with within yourself, you're able to exude that out to the world, to be able to show that and present that and represent that as your present form. When you really think about it, life itself is a gift. Think about the term, I'm present with myself. By being present with myself, I am a present to myself by being here in this human form, living and being human. Now, whenever we take these things for granted and we say, oh, even this is, just a part of the human experience. Oh, I had this really sad thing happen to me, but it's okay because I know, everything's going to be fine. That's a great outlook to have. Ultimately, it's a great outlook. Whenever you can truly cope and you are your own coping mechanism, and what you speak of is actually your truth, not just a mask of something that you're trying to cover up or feel like wasn't something important because of the energy that it brings to you of such sadness or such depths that you don't really want to enter. But when you can actually look at yourself and say, this really, really horrible thing happened to me. And because of that, I'm going to analyze why it happened, how it happened, and I'm going to touch that energy to actually resurface it and bring it forward to me. Now, as we do this, we're able to actually go back into the situation and not only just question ourselves, but question all of the energy, all of the happenings, all of the occurrences that led up to the event. This is how you find growth. This is how you find challenge within yourself to be able to overcome yourself and the aspects of the things that have once prevented you from being in the power in which you want to be in at all times. It's not about masking it. It's not about hiding it. It's not about pretending things that are negative don't happen. It's about feeling the energy in all of its element and forms. I used to be such an advocate about preaching, oh, don't say that, words matter. What you're saying is manifesting your reality. Do I still see that? Do I still believe that? Absolutely. But at the same time, do I also see that there are so many other components, so many other elements, and so many other aspects that actually create that reality? You could say something, not mean it in the intent of the form in which it is said, completely have a harmonious resonance with the energy of what you put out to the universe. And that can actually come back in the highest vibration to you because it's all a matter of intent. What is your intention inside? You can walk around and preach positivity to every single person you meet and tell them that they need to be more positive. They need to do this. They need to do this. They need to do that. They have to follow these rules. They have to practice mindful thinking of what their words are that they're speaking, etc. But the thing is, if you're going back into your thoughts and you're thinking about all of these things that you don't want to even acknowledge and just shoving them into this drawer inside of you, into this door, into this closet, into this dark space, never really truly filling the energy out. Filling is a matter of touch and actually feeling emotionally, energetically. So whenever you can almost think of it as like looking inside a compartment of yourself, taking out this darkness, holding this darkness, and feeling the warmth, the depth of it, the energy that it holds, and just setting with it. Some people don't really need to interrogate it. They don't need to investigate. They don't need to really ask the deeper questions. But sometimes you just need to look at it. Just fill it out and embrace it for what it is instead of trying to hide behind it. Because when we hide behind our fears, we get lost in them. And positivity that is not actually positive, but instead it is a mask, is not good for you. It's not good to pass along to others. And in fact, it is one of the most toxic forms of living in this reality. And now, when I say this, I don't mean it to be something to bash anyone who believes in living a positive life. I think it is absolutely beautiful to live in a positive light, living in a positive life, and seeing things for the beauty of the outcome of the situation versus the tragedy in the confrontation, so to speak. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't be positive, but what I am saying and suggesting to you here as a viewer on this YouTube video is that we at least take in the emotions of what we feel. Don't bypass something because it's uncomfortable. Growth, actually, as most people already know, especially if you're in this spiritual community, right? Which I almost just don't even want to identify with because I really want to drop all labels because I feel like labels are another toxicity that we have, that we all comfort ourselves in, but really it's the major component of separation and division. But that's a whole other video, right? But anyways, whenever we do just kind of slide things over, we end up with a fire inside ourselves. We end up with some chaotic mess that's never been figure it out. It's like a rope, like, or a cord or something. Like, if you don't roll it up the right way, you know what I mean? Like, it is going to literally be so tangled and so messy, and it's going to be so much more complicated to get through and be able to straighten it out. So, whenever we actually take our energies of our darkness, our sadness, our hurt, our pains, our sorrows, etc., whenever we take those things and instead of just like bumbling them up, whatever, instead of doing that, if we actually take that energy and we separate it one piece at a time, and we like very like intricately pay attention to the detail of how we're putting that up. We're not just putting it up to store it away, but instead we're putting it up in a place to be able to learn from, to be able to come back from. Whenever we need to be able to tap into that energy and harness the energy of how that felt, to be able to use and utilize that emotion, to be able to help us in a situation that will come in the future or in present form in another momentum of now, we're able to actually tap into that energy. And that's the thing. Like, when you are actually able to learn from your mistakes, from your pain, from your trauma, etc., then you're actually able to heal yourself in the future. And it comes a lot more easy. And then you may become one of those people that speak positive all the time, because you may be so fast at processing your emotions that nothing phases you anymore. And is that the ultimate goal? Maybe for some, not for all. But ultimately, it is a goal. So maybe this isn't your goal, and that's okay. But the thing is, if you can just sit with your emotions, feel them out instead of trying to mask them, instead of trying to cover them up, instead of trying to rush through them to be able to heal because you feel like you're a burden to society or those around you that you love, whatever the case may be. Instead, realize that the burden is going to only weigh and bear on you unless you actually take the time to figure it out, unless you take the time to sit with it, unless you take the time to analyze it or do whatever it is in the way of your processing and coping mechanism skills. So ultimately, that is the message of today. And I just want you to remind yourself there are situations that we will come into in life to where maybe they're a bit more challenging, maybe they're a bit more difficult than things that we want to have to face. But instead of running from those things, instead of running from our fears, what if we ran right towards them? What if we faced them? And what if we face them in an aspect of shadow work that isn't so often preached about, but instead embracing and integrating your shadow, just like the ego. These are aspects of ourselves, and when we try to separate them and divide them, we are doing nothing more than creating a cultivated culture of something that we do not actually benefit from, just like the society has done. Do you want to be a reflection of the chaos in the society that we live in? Or do you want to create a new society from the world that you live in, from within, putting that energy outwards to be able to pass that energy along to every single person that you meet, any person that you encounter, through complete sincerity, instead of saying, oh, this is the bright side, or oh, this will get better, or oh, this will do that, or oh, this will do that. Instead, what if you actually embrace that? What if someone tells you something really negative and you sit with it with them and you go through their emotions with them, instead of simply shoving their emotions to the side and saying, oh, that's too dark for me, that's not positive? One last thing. I have this beautiful best friend that I love so much, and there have been times in my life to where I have literally shut her down, or either she shut herself down because of me being a positive person and not wanting to have that negative energy impacting my energy field. And I realized as I got older that me being that way was actually only hurting myself, because it's really, really toxic behavior to never experience the negative and to never want to see it and to never want to feel it and to never want to hear it, because all you're doing is omitting a truth that is still present in form of its own creation, and you're changing that into something else, using your imagination, of course, to be able to create this false facade of reality that doesn't exist. Sometimes you just have to face the darkness. It's not always light, you know? And even though it's not always light, it's not always darkest either. And if you think about it, one of the most beautiful times of the day is the dusk, the sun rising. Things like this, the two parts of the transitions of the day, can be the most beautiful things to take in and embrace. So just remember those aspects of you. See yourself as the dusk. See yourself as the I want to say dawn, but it's not dawn, as the rising of the day. See yourself in the elements in between, not always just the extremes, because the only way that you can find the in between is touching the extremes and bringing those extremes into one, to be able to be heard, to be seen, to be felt, to be utilized, to be harnessed, and to be able to evolve from that energy. So, if anything today I have helped you with, let me know in the comments. If you enjoy my content, if you like content like this, let me know. It helps me kind of like know what kind of content to create. Moving forward, I am solely going to be doing what my soul calls me to do, period. After being sick for a little bit in like those couple weeks and just really touching darkness, because I did have to touch darkness in other ways than just my sickness that I was dealing with. But some things are personal matters, and that's okay too. But at the same time, those things can grow you and they can heal you, and they can show you sides of yourself that you've never seen before. And from my findings of myself, I have found that I want to do nothing but give content that provides valid information that can cause transformation. And if I can't offer that to you, I don't need to be offering anything to you, in my opinion, because that is my sole purpose. That is my soul mission. And my soul mission is a mission for us all to be able to see the greatness within our own transmissions of ourselves. So, all right, guys, don't forget to follow, subscribe. These are my social media platforms. You can follow me there for other content. Maybe leaning a little bit more away from just straight up grab a Bowie codes on my TikTok. So definitely check me out there, even if you're not into that kind of content that I have right now. Because like I said, everything's coming from soul here on out. Like nothing will be surface. I just don't feel like doing surface anymore. You know what I mean? And also, as I learn myself, because I'm a huge advocate of learning ourselves. So I'm constantly evolving, constantly learning myself. And as I learn myself, I see that this is more of my mission of just transmitting my higher knowledge that I've taken my life to explore and receive, and sharing it with the world. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I love you. And I wish you the most beautiful day.